One of the biggest reasons people don't start dropshipping or quit is fraud. That fear that someone places an order, you ship it, and then the money gets pulled back. You lose the product, you lose your cash, and suddenly your profit is gone. Maybe you're even in debt. And most people will tell you that's just part of the game, or that's the problem with dropshipping and it's why you shouldn't do it. It is not. You can set your store up so that you almost never get hit by a fraudulent order, and even if you do, you never lose any money. Across our 3 stores in 2025, we didn't have a single fraudulent order go through. So we can scale and take advantage of all of the great elements of dropshipping without ever having to worry. And I'm about to share the exact system we use to never worry about fraud. Step 1, we do a risk check. This is our baseline filter. Every order gets reviewed when it comes in based on IP analysis, whether it's an IP that's previously been associated with fraud, device fingerprinting, which repeat fraudsters' devices show up, email checks, which is whether the email has a fraud history, is it newly set up? If it was only set up yesterday, that's a red flag. Address detection, is it a known reshipping or forwarding location? Is it an Airbnb, etc.? And then phone intelligence, which detects fake, spoof, new, or blacklisted numbers. And then finally, behavior analysis, which spots suspicious on-site behavior when they actually bought from us. If nothing flags, we fulfill as normal, and we strip out most of the fraud right there. If you want to know more about this process, I'm going to drop a link below to what we use. If anything looks off, which is fairly rare, we move to step 2, which is a phone check. One of our team calls the customer. Fraudsters hate interaction. This alone removes most fraudulent orders. If they aren't willing to talk on the phone, you know the order is off. If they do answer, ask for justification on what flagged. For example, can you confirm why the billing and shipping addresses are different? Sometimes this is just because of a house move, but if something isn't quite right, you will sense it. Plus, we request further verification. We ask for a photo of an ID matching the order name and confirmation of billing, which is essentially where they have to confirm the transaction ID on the bank statement. If a fraudster has someone's credit card details, they'll fail this step as they don't have banking access. And at this point, you've eliminated almost all fraud, and most orders will pass the first analysis, so this work only exists on a very small subsection. But if you want to completely remove all risk, you can add fraud protection. Use something like clear sale, where you pay less than 1% of the total sale value per order, and if fraud happens, you get reimbursed in full. So even if worst case, fraud slips through, you don't lose any money. And there's one further secret, and that is that fraud comes in waves. If you let one bad order through, more will follow, because fraudsters test, they repeat, and they share. But if you challenge orders, cancel suspicious ones, and enforce checks, your store becomes a bad target for fraudsters. And that's exactly what you want. And over time, fraud disappears. So no, fraud is not just part of dropshipping. It's not something you have to be afraid of or put up with. It is part of dropshipping businesses with bad systems and processes. If you filter properly, verify when needed, and add the right protection, you can run your store without ever having to worry about fraud again. You don't have to avoid fraud by hoping, you can avoid it by building a system.